So, you're in the market for a brand new middleweight street naked bike. Which one do you choose? Triumph Street Triple or the KTM 790 Duke?
And 3, 2, 1, goodbye. The theme of today will be easy overtakes. Oh my, 4,000 revs. I believe it's about 9,000 and it makes super happy fun time. That is really, really nice. This is £8,500 well spent. That is what this bike is. It has been far too long since I've been on a triple. I don't want to pull over and take photos of this, I just want to enjoy it. Although you are killing these bends, you absolute bastard. One more time, that's all raw. We made it sing. We made it sing.
See you in the studio. And by studio I of course mean just some random office in my building. Bye. So comparing these two bikes, I am of course going to stick to the Triumph Street Triple R. Not least because it's the one I tested, but the reason I tested it is because it's the most closely matched to the KTM 790, which of course just comes in one option. Now, full disclosure, of course, I own a Street Triple R. You can go back through my videos and find that out. But I won't let that influence my decision objectively between which bike is better, because of course we are all individual and you will have a different take on this. Lots of words very quickly. Take a moment, reset, let's move on.
So what am I sat on top? I am sat on top a KTM 790 Duke, new for this year. It is a parallel twin liquid cooled 799cc engine. And it is really, really smooth. With a very satisfying throb. You can actually feel the pulses of the engine as it gets up to speed. If it was too smooth, it might be a little bit bland, and it's not. Hello, open roads. Oh yes.
So what can we chalk up as a win for the KTM? Well, it has a bigger capacity to start with. The engine is slightly bigger. It develops 64 foot-pounds of torque at 8,000 revs, whereas the Triumph, of course, develops 54 foot-pounds of torque at 9,400 revs. It is worth noting, though, that the Triumph is a triple, and that triples generally develop a lot of torque all the way across the rev range.
Just to let you know, we're in sport mode. That's 60 miles an hour. It is open. We're in first gear. Let's find out how fast this thing accelerates. It's pretty quick.
Arguably speaking, the rear brake is also better on the KTM. It has 240mm rear disc as opposed to the 220mm found on the Triumph. However, the Triumph comes with a Brembo, albeit a cheap Brembo. The KTM comes with KTM's own brand, both single piston, but to the feel of it, I would say that the KTM felt a little bit like it had more stopping power from the rear. And then of course the KTM is cheaper. It is £8,500 in the UK, just shy of that anyway. The Triumph of course is £9,200 for the R version. If however you wanted to go for the S model, that is cheaper than the KTM, it's £8,300. If you wanted to go for the Triumph Street Triple RS, the balls to the wall version, you're talking about £10,200.
Annoyingly, I'm still using my clutch, and that is just because I didn't pay attention to the itinerary or the brief. This is, or has, a quick shifter for up and down, apparently. Yes, up is very smooth, really nice. Actually one of the best working that I've currently tried. I haven't seen that many, but it does render my left hand somewhat redundant. Just a wave. Dance, enjoy my day, and I am enjoying my day. You better believe it.
The the KTM does come with a quick shifter as standard that you can play around with. So you have the quick shifter up and a quick shifter down as well. I wouldn't necessarily focus on the downshifts too much. I preferred using the clutch. It also is, arguably speaking, more technologically advanced in regards to its rider modes.
So we're now in sport mode, and it's good timing too, because I'm stuck behind three things, one of which is a lorry. Four things, one of which is a lorry. This thing basically has more electronics than I will have time to go into or test, but it's nice to know that they are there. It also has lean sensitive traction control. If you drop in a little bit too much, you start to lose traction, it will save you.
So where does our Street Triple R win? Well, it has more horsepower. It is a triple after all. It has one more cylinder than the KTM, so it does rev a little bit stronger than the KTM will, and it develops 116 brake horsepower in comparison to the KTM's 105.
Lesson number one for Street Triples: if you've not ridden them before, it makes a lot of horsepower up towards the 12,000 mark. Because it is so torquey, it can lead me into thinking that it was as powerful at maybe 4,000 revs as it is up towards the 9,000 mark, and that is not true. If you hang on to those revs, get to between 9,000 and 12,000, you will feel a very distinct spike in power, and it's really nice. The other thing for anyone who has bought or is looking to buy a Street Triple, between the R and the RS, the R actually makes more torque lower down and the horsepower higher up.
Technically speaking, it should have a higher top speed as well. Apparently it's 150 on the RS. I assume it's pretty much the same for the R in comparison to 135 for the KTM. I wouldn't focus on that too much. Of course, that is far beyond the legal limits and far beyond your next capabilities of keeping your head upright. The front brake on the Triumph is better. 310mm as opposed to 300mm. Not a huge difference, but it is a Brembo caliper. They are both 4-piston for KTM or for Triumph, but the Brembo for me does win out. It is not the best Brembo, but it's still a Brembo.
Monoblock, radial mounted, braided hoses. You know exactly where you are at.
Then of course you have the suspension for both bikes. And for the adjustability, of course, the Triumph will win on that category as well. You have Showa big piston forks and a Showa rear spring, both of which are adjustable for compression, rebound and preload. And on the KTM, you have WP forks and WP rear monoshock. And the rear monoshock is adjustable for preload, but the front is adjustable for nothing. It's still very impressive and it's set up very well, but you can't adjust it. So, objectively speaking, the Triumph would win.
Suspension feels good, it feels poised. A little bit less poised, I would say, than the KTM though, sadly.
Things that are exactly the same between the two bikes, well, they both have colour TFT displays and they both have the same seat height. And that is pretty much it.
And now for the walk round verdict. Is it pretty? Yes. Is it light? Nothing to grab at the back there. No, I'm just caressing its arse. Oh.
Now, the Triumph claims that it has 166 kilograms for dry weight. The KTM claim 169 kilograms. So there is very little in it, but the Triumph, I suppose, has the edge. However, having test ridden both bikes, I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, the KTM is lighter.
Now, it's supposedly a very light bike. Christ, does it ever? Oh yeah, that's light. What a nice thing.
Then we talk about little minor differences between the two. And it's worth pointing out that the KTM is slightly longer than the Triumph is, although to the feel of it, again, the Triumph felt a little bit longer to me. But that's probably because you're in a sportier position when you're grabbing onto the bars. The KTM has a somewhat supermoto setup, so you feel a bit more upright.
There's a little bit of a difference here with the KTM and the Street Triple. This one does have a much sportier position. It does pull you forwards just a little bit.
Very little in it for rake or trail, so agility should be roughly the same. And again, I can tell you that the KTM is a more agile machine. The turning circle is better and it feels lighter, it feels more manoeuvrable. The caveat to that is that the Triumph can lead you into riding just a little bit smoother than the KTM would. If you like to have a little cheeky overtake or a cheeky flick of the bars, then maybe go for the KTM. If you prefer to have a line and stick to it, go for the Triumph.
It's a very accurate ride, very precise, even with the suspension, which is non-adjustable, but they've got it pretty much right on the level. It has this real nice hunker down squat feeling when you accelerate. You give it gas and the rear just squats and propels you.
Now then, let's talk a little bit more about the actual character of the machine and why you might go for each individual one. Triples are an acquired taste, so if you don't like a triple cylinder, go for the KTM. A parallel twin is very easy to get on with, and this one is quite smooth in particular. It has a real nice rasp to it as well. The exhaust, even stock, is great. And of course, you can stick on an Akropovich exhaust if you so choose.
In case you haven't heard it before. Sounds good to me.
Why would I go for the Triumph over the KTM? Well, again, we hark back to that triple. It will split people. Not everyone likes it. If you prefer the sound and the performance of a triple cylinder, I would go for the Triumph. If you like to be smooth with your cornering, albeit the bike will goad you or can cheat you into thinking it should be ridden by the scruff of its neck, it shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be. Ride it smoothly and you'll get a lot more out of it on some sweeping and twisty bends. If you want to go a little bit faster, I am going to say give the edge to the Triumph as well. I reckon that is a faster bike than the KTM. Of course, that is subjective and it will be faster. Each one will be faster in a different person's hands. But in a straight line speed and power, I'm going to give the edge to the Triumph.
And now I want to see how fast it goes from 0 to 60. Well, 30 to 60. What was that, like a 1 second? Oh my god! That's not even sport mode.
If you prefer the cheekiness of the KTM and the agility of that bike, there's your answer. If you prefer a sportier bike and a smoother ride, I'd go for the Triumph. But both of them have such a crossover that you really can't go far wrong. With all of that out of the way and said and done, I will of course have reviews of the KTM 790 and the Triumph Street Triple coming out soon. You can check those out in isolation of each other just to see what the bikes are like on their own. If you're new to the channel and you haven't already subscribed, then I would thank you and like you forever and love you and maybe not love you, but I still like you just as a friend. If you click on the subscribe button just down there and you can see some more videos from me. Wouldn't that be nice for me? I'll catch you again soon. Thanks for stopping by. You stay classy. Bye. Oh, you want me to choose a favourite? Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that because if I do, then I'll get no end of comments down there from people very angry, unnecessarily angry, just telling me that I've chosen the wrong bike. Oh, you're a knobhead. Oh, that bike sucks. Oh, you suck. I hate you. Your face is stupid. It's happened in the past. I'm not going to play into it. All right, fine. Okay. If I had to choose, I'd probably buy the